Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improve.
Hey, fellows. It's the first snap of another season.
Nerds roll.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
I am a super nerd.
Oh, my glasses are broken.
I am a super nerd.
My pocket is protected.
I am a super nerd.
Excelsior.
Nerd?
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Starring Andy.
My name is Andy, and I am a super
I'm a former entertainment journalist.
TBJ.
Hi, this is Tiffany. You may hear me be referred to as TBJ.
TBJ, y'all.
I am what I like to call a surprise nerd.
Art Star.
My name is Art Star, aka Dark Star.
He's the nerd Gotham City deserves.
And yours truly, call me Joe.
So, in retrospect, Andy's Thor and you're Loki.
I guess.
There you go.
Well, can you blame me? My dad was a frost giant. What are you going to do?
Not your excuse. What are you going to do? I couldn't help
Yeah,
myself.
my real dad was a frost giant. I can't help it.
All right, bringing it back to Thor. Good job, Art.
Yeah.
Two things before we start the movie. Two more things about the history. Two little things. One, the first live-action Thor was in 1988 in The Incredible Hulk Returns, starring Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
It was a TV movie, and I've only watched a little bit of it. Donald Blake was apparently like an old student of Bruce Banner's. And he's talking about this magical thing he's got where he's got a hammer and he can summon Thor with it as a separate person. And he's just this big, burly dude in a brown, furry outfit and a
Look like a giant Viking.
Yeah, he looks
really
like a giant Viking.
Yeah.
And like I just watched a little bit of it. It's on Amazon Prime. And like he shows up in Bruce Banner's or David Banner's lab and just starts like, I want a drink, and tears apart the lab equipment looking for beer, and it's pretty silly. But
I wonder.
So you could watch.
I'm wondering if they like because like the relationship between Hulk and Thor now. I wonder if they like kind of built off of like with the bond into like what went on in that movie. Like the Hulk and Thor had kind of a weird, I don't want to say buddy cop kind of feel in that movie, but it was still like that whole connection where like now, every time like him and Thor, they're like best, they're like frenemies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's some comic basis for that too. There was one story I remember reading where like the Hulk was kind of, he was more intelligent, like the smarter Hulk, but he was still really powerful. And for some reason, he and Thor had to fight, and they fought for like 3 days, and neither one of them could get the upper hand. Like they fought to a stalemate for like 3 straight days, just fighting, because one's a god and one's the strongest one there is, and like they have that kind of head buddy sort of who's stronger, who's tougher swagger about them.
Right.
Is this the guy that was in? And I think I asked you this on a previous episode, Andy. I think I was talking about this guy playing this Thor. Wasn't he in an episode of Roseanne where he wants to fight Dan? Anybody remember that?
He might be. I just looked him up. He was on. He played Dave Rogers on the Hughleys. He was in Robin Hood Men in Tights. Let me look at his filmography here.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, he was in an episode of Roseanne. His name was Bobo.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I don't know why I remember that episode. I didn't see a lot of Roseanne, but he's like picking on Dan over the pool table, and he was going to fight him, and Dan's got to decide, do I fight this guy or do I back down?
He was in an episode of Growing Pains and an episode of Cheers.
So Thor can be the guy that makes all those guys the same universe.
Right.
He was also in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, but he's not. Yeah, but this isn't the same Thor that's in.
Yeah, this guy's name is Eric Allen Kramer, just for completion's sake.
Yeah.
And the other thing
I totally forgot.
I just learned today as I was doing research for this. Do you know who was offered the role of Thor before Chris Hemsworth?
No, I do not.
Who?
I don't either.
Daniel Craig.
Whoa.
And he couldn't do it because he was committed to James Bond. But imagine Daniel Craig as Thor.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think.
I like Daniel Craig as an actor, but in nerd analogy, it would be almost as if you had He-Man and then He-Man from the New Adventures of He-Man. How like He-Man's bulky and New Adventures of He-Man look like a teenage boy. You know, like it's
Yeah, Daniel Craig could not have bulked up
Right.
the way Hemsworth. Like that body right there.
oh boy.
Yeah, he
Daniel
would have
Craig
had that.
Can I say
He
this?
could not
Can
have
I say
done
this? When he tried to pick the hammer up, I was like, Tiffany probably lost her shit. Seeing them veins popping out of his muscles.
Listen,
And then
She
the
paused the movie
then the
for
whole
a
thing
while.
where like when he was trying on Donald's shirt, I was like, oh, Tiffany's
Yes.
losing it. She's losing it. Her and
I
Kat
was just
Dennings
like,
are losing it.
Hemsworth.
Yeah, Kat Dennings like he's
Listen.
so cut.
I mean, listen, if you've ever gone on his social media, he's not just cut for Thor. Like, the man.
I did see the thing he did when
Specimen.
Chris Pratt was getting on him because I guess he was lifting a tire or something. He was telling him like slow down or something.
Both
he-
Hemsworth
was-
brothers are quite
Oh.
the eye candy.
Oh,
And
there's
they
another
both
Hemsworth.
auditioned for
Yeah,
Thor.
Liam.
Liam also auditioned for Thor.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Were they famous before? Were they pretty famous before Thor?
Not to me.
They had done movies, but they weren't well known. Like they had been. Remember they're Australian, so they were kind of doing their thing down under.
Oh, they are.
Down under.
Before
What's
they
Liam?
came.
What is Liam in that I would know?
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, Miley
He's the one
Cyrus.
that was married to Miley Cyrus.
He's married to Miley
Well, they're
Cyrus.
divorced now.
He was in her, Andy. Very good. Very fast.
No, listen.
I
Why
was
did you
fine
guys
if you would have let
do
that
that?
go, but
TBJ doesn't like
that was a little
No.
Easter chicken.
You guys are horrible. He's in the Hunger Games series. To answer your question,
I saw those. Who does he play in that?
You would know him if you. I don't know why you don't know who Liam is.
He was what's the name?
He's
Darn
Gale.
it. Gail.
He's Gale. I saw-
Gale.
Joe,
The dude
if
that
you pull up
Katniss
the picture,
lusted after. Katniss
you'll
lusted
see
after him.
Oh, he's the male lead or male whatever.
Well, he's the tall male. He's not Josh. Wasn't it? His name is Josh Hutcherson. Is his name Josh? Yeah. He's not
Oh,
the
they're brothers, huh?
he's not the short lead. He's the tall one.
I don't remember him.
look
don't-
at his face, man. You've seen this man. Look at his body.
I don't think I have.
Look him up.
All of his pictures are with Miley. I'm looking at him right now. All of his pictures are with Miley Cyrus. I've never seen that guy. I think I've seen these pictures together, but I thought he was like a soccer player or something.
No.
Country singer.
Maybe.
He looks like a footballer.
A footballer, yes. So you know what? This is great. Are we ready to get into the movie?
Yeah, let's go.
So let's jump into Thor. We're ready to start the movie.
Let's do it.
2011.
Yeah,
2011's Thor, directed by
Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh.
yeah. Kenneth Branagh, who did.
Shakespearean.
This is a big connection. I think that's probably why they thought of him is because Kenneth Branagh was known for he did 7 different Shakespeare movies, and in the comics, for some reason, even though he was a Norse god, he talked like a Shakespeare character. With in that language, I say thee nay, and
Yeah.
thine and thous and doth,
Yes.
you mortal thou doth be, whatever.
Yeah.
Vile
And-
fiend.
Which is another
Have at
reason
thee.
why I didn't know. Yeah, stuff like that. Have at thee. there's a big scene in this comic I remember reading where like they're fighting Ultron and he's got like swarms of Ultrons and stuff, and they finally get to the real Ultron and he's like, it's like a big moment where he goes, Ultron, we would have words with thee. And then they kick his ass. And like, I'm kind of surprised that didn't somehow make it into Age of Ultron, but it's, so that was one more reason, one more layer of why this shouldn't have worked. Like, I had no idea how they were going to make Thor work as a movie that wasn't stupid. Or just...
So what other films has Kenneth Branagh done? Just the Shakespeare movies?
He did
Macbeth,
he was
right?
Hamlet, he did Henry V, and a lot of those Shakespeare movies. He was he's also an actor. So he was in the second Harry Potter film, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, Kenneth Branagh, didn't he do Dracula? Was Kenneth Branagh's Dracula?
No, that was
Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein? Or
he did. I think he did Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yes.
Okay.
I believe he's done a lot of stuff. He was in I think it was called Dead Calm. He's in thrillers. Like he's got a long.
But
career.
I'll say I didn't realize it was Kenneth Branagh until like Art was telling me. I was halfway through the movie and Art was talking about that to Josh Frank at work. He was like, "Oh, I thought it was Frank was complaining."
Yeah, he was saying,
I was like, "Oh,
because
Branagh."
he said that Thor didn't get good until Waititi.
Yeah, we'll need to learn how to say his name by the time we get to Thor 3.
You're right.
I
And
don't know
it's like right in my head too, right in my
Taika
thinking
Waititi.
parts.
But he was mad at Kenneth Branagh. I was like, I didn't even realize it. Like there was nothing throughout this movie that was like that seemed like it was anything different than any other Marvel.
But I mean, you could see it, like even the scene where Thor fails at lifting the hammer, like the shot was very Shakespearean of Coulson watching him with the rain dripping off his face, and then Thor just sitting there defeated. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it was awesome, but it screams Shakespeare.
And I think that was why, like I said, like that's why he was hired. I bet was like for the longest time he was the official cinematic curator of Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. Like he would like sort of like turn Shakespeare's plays into films. So, and since Thor talked like Shakespeare and it's had all this weird medieval trappings,
even like Loki was almost like Iago. So it's just like,
oh, absolutely,
yeah, very much so.
But I like what you said there, Andy. That's another reason why this could have been a shit show and ruined. It could have ruined the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like if it was bad enough, it could have Batman and Robin the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It is the fourth movie in the MCU. And I mean, if you take a look at Thor's classic costume, it's like this big sleeveless dude with a weird Viking helmet and these big flary knee boots, like knee-high boots with big 60s comics are big on flaring boots. But
well, and just that they did Thor, I think that's a risky move at this point when it's so young in the MCU. Like, why do Thor? He's not everybody's favorite.
But
right?
As far as the Avengers go, is what they were building towards. Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor are like basically their Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. As far as like the biggest three heroes that weren't X-Men at the time, because there was a lot more divergence between like the X-Men. Fox had the X-Men; they couldn't do the X-Men. Sony had Spider-Man; they couldn't do Spider-Man.
Sony has Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but wouldn't they have been better served doing Captain America, or wouldn't you expect them to do Captain America?
That's the next one
because he's more. Well, I know, but wouldn't they have done that before Thor? Wouldn't you think?
I would have thought so, but. That's maybe it's some of it was scheduling, how they figured out how to make it work.
Well, it's neither here nor there. It worked, and it's a success. Yeah. But I mean, I think I'm blown away by that. Just those things that Kenneth Branagh could have made it a weird Kenneth Branagh, because like that first Batman was what's his name? That's director
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. So those were Tim Burton movies. Like you see them, this is Tim Burton for sure. Yeah. It's almost a Tim Burton movie before it's a comic book movie. It's kind of like it's that weird Tim Burton stuff.
Movie before it's a comic book movie.
Yeah, Batman is at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then and speaking of that, So wait, these other MCU movies, were they all directed by the Swingers guy, Jon Favreau?
No, just the first two Iron Mans.
Swingers
Incredible
guy.
Hulk was directed by Louis Leterrier, I believe.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. That's
we
what you
talked
said.
about
You said
him.
his name weird. Yeah, because you said his name weird. So did you know that Jon Favreau was in the Batman universe?
I forgot.
He was in one of those movies.
Do you
Did you
remember
know
which
he
one?
also directed Elf, the movie with Buddy?
I did know
Yeah.
that because I watched it recently. But yeah, he was He was like one of Bruce Wayne's assistants. So he's like in the background. So
Okay.
he bridges the DC Marvel universe.
Do you know he was
which
also
other people do.
He was also in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
Look at him.
No, but was it?
He was.
He wasn't Happy Hogan.
No, he was Foggy Nelson.
He
Right.
can't be two people.
Well, that Daredevil movie doesn't
Well,
count.
the Daredevil movie's not in the
point where
MCU.
we remind Joe that
Oh.
people can play various characters, and that the same actor does not have to keep playing the same roles forever.
Matter of fact,
Right, because
Not in the MCU, though.
I'm still championing for Tom Cruise to show up in this MCU
No.
stuff for time.
I will protest.
I will
So
also.
I will
I'll be on
one of
Tiffany's
those
side on
people
that
who
one.
writes into Marvel if Tom Cruise. I will be that person. I will write a letter to the manager. Okay, I will carry
I'll
this
say
out.
right now, I don't care what movie it is, what Marvel. If it's my favorite Marvel guy ever, if Tom Cruise plays him, I don't think I'm going to go see it.
Nope.
I hate Tom Cruise and everything he's done.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Top Gun. Don't get mad.
I liked
How
him in
did
A Few
you
Good
not
Men.
see Top Gun?
Yeah, how could you not see
I-
Top Gun?
Wait, what'd you say, Andy? Rain Man? He was good.
A
at Rain
Few
Man.
Good Men is.
Oh,
Oh,
A Few
he was
Good
good in
Men.
that.
Yeah.
He has
the
some
Code
good
Red?
things. It's not until later when he becomes the same guy over and over and over and over in whatever film.
Yeah.
In the very
He's
beginning,
so smarmy.
he was great, but he also
Yeah,
hadn't
risky
lost his mind.
business. His underpants and risky business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to-
Business, Top Gun.
I'm trying to
See,
think of who.
Star holding up Top Gun.
Can I borrow that movie, Art Star?
This is Blu-ray.
Millennium Falcon. Wait, are you in the Millennium Falcon?
I
right now?
am.
That's nerdy. That is very nerdy.
I did that
Okay.
for Tiffany.
We're on a Zoom call right now. Those listeners.
That
who
way
can't
she
see
can
us.
know.
Art
Oh no,
Art
so
Star is. He's piloting the
hold on.
Millennium Falcon.
Why doesn't it
I
show
know
up?
where he stands. He doesn't need to show me.
He's
where
a
he
Force
stands.
ghost.
Luke Skywalker, even though I'm totally a part of the dark
I was
side.
about to say you got the wrong guy up, Brenton. For you. not for me.
We're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to pause the MCU here and there and jump to like Star Wars and then back to MCU and then some Batman.
Well, I
and,
mean,
like,
not even
just,
that. Like, even if we don't, I don't know. I think we have to pause because I mean, we talk about Batman a lot, and Batman is definitely not in the MCU. Like,
yeah, we got to just jump and do a Batman, I think, because I have, after watching those Batman's movies, I have a billion questions about Batman.
and then just recently there's this thing coming out now where I guess in the DC EU that Michael Keaton is supposed to be the main Batman, so we don't have to look at Batfleck as a a canon Batman.
Affleck did with what he could with what he had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I
mean,
guess.
Yes. No.
I guess.
But I'm not going to fault him. He's not the director who cast himself.
He might have been. I think he was kind of a bright spot in that horrible Justice League movie, but Superman versus Bat.
How do we
Go
feel
ahead.
about the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League? That's kind of apparently going to be a 4-hour, 4-episode version of Justice League that's coming to HBO Max at some point this year.
I don't. It seems so weird. It's one of those things where it feels like he's like, wait, but let me show you what I was also working on, because he knew like people weren't loving what he did. It feels like a plea. So let me show you better. But is there really better?
Yeah,
What's going to be
that's
This is
really,
coming
and what's going to
from
be
a
really
big
bad
DC
is
fan.
if when it does come out, it isn't better. Just the whole time it is taken to release it is like, what if it's not as good? Like, I mean, that's kind of something. Whatever.
I don't really see how it can be good based on the first two movies that he did that weren't good.
Right?
And
And that's the thing. I feel like this is like You know how you go on a date with a guy and you kiss him, and
No.
well, you guys all
None
do
of us
this.
know. None of
And
us
it's
know
like
that.
not the best kiss, and he might have overheard you say it's not the best kiss, but he's like, no, I can do it again. No, like I can
Right.
prove.
Give me another
Listen,
chance. Just one more chance.
here are the old tapes of me kissing better, right? If you give me another chance,
Right.
I'll do it better. I promise I
Is that a thing
can.
that happens?
That's what this feels like. It feels like him going, wait. I know you didn't like it. Hold on. Maybe if I show you
But
some
then
uncut
I also
footage,
believe
maybe you
it's
will.
also them catering to nerd culture too. It's just like
Yeah.
how they every so often they'll bring up the whole Nicolas Cage Superman movie, and didn't someone else do a Superman movie that never got released?
Yeah, there was one that Kevin Smith was gonna do, I think, or he was gonna write
Uh,
it.
yeah,
That
so
He's
it's like
gonna
all of
write
this.
it.
It's like just teasing us, like, oh look, we're going to come out with this, we're going to come out with that, and then we see it and we're like, should have kept it.
yeah,
You should
this
have
is.
kept it.
I don't get. I get the impression that it's less. I think he thinks he did a great job with the first two movies, and he's
Who's he? Who are we talking
Zack
about?
Snyder, the director. He directed Man of Steel, which was a bad version of Superman.
Yeah, I've heard they were all terrible.
Well,
I know. I watched that one, and I had no idea what was going on. Like I didn't understand it.
yeah, I think Henry Cavill could do a good Superman. He just needs to not. Superman and Zack Snyder's general worldview don't seem to mesh.
Or as Tiffany would say, he was just doing what he was, the cards he was dealt with.
Listen, an actor can only go so far, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're being directed,
Yeah,
and you're reading.
that's true.
You're reading a script.
Mhm.
You can't. We talked about people being let go, and we talked about it when we talked about the Hulk and not having input, and this wasn't the project he wanted because he didn't have say. So, as an actor, you can only go so far with so much.
And I totally understand. I used to listen to what's the name of it? Like Aisha Tyler used to have a podcast. I used to listen to her podcast a lot, and she had either Joe Montana or somebody else on there, and they were just talking about how, as an actor making movies, like when you make a movie, you don't know, especially if you're a working actor, you don't know that the movie's going to be bad. You just make the movie, and it's like you're gonna get paid no matter what. But then still, it's not like you go into this movie saying like, I'm gonna just blow it. But it's like you don't know going in whether or not this movie's going to be bad. Right.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah,
so
and I
much
bet- I wonder if-
off your plate. Like I respect actors who are also writers and direct. Like I respect the people who turn out their own stuff. Speaking of Kevin Smith, his cult, it's culty a little bit. Like he has his own little cult following. But I respect
Yes,
him
for sure.
because he's created. Like if it's good or bad, it's on him. Like he wrote it, he directed it. It's his thing. If it's great, it's on him. If it's not, it's on him. Like I respect that because you have some ownership about what you're putting out, because you can walk in, like you said, I think Henry could also be a great Batman, but you need the right script, you need the right director, and you need good vision, because even some stuff in cuts you could have. I'm bringing it back to daggone Elf just because we just left Christmas. But we were,
Elf is so good.
I was watching a documentary about it, and they had the first cut, which is very close to what we saw. We loved it. But the studio was like, no, we need a different cut, because when they made it, Will Ferrell wasn't Will Ferrell yet. But by the time it was coming out, he was Frank the Tank. So they were like, we need to cut it different. And so they did, and it was horrible. And people had to fight for it to come back to get cut the right way. But sometimes you lose those battles. So even if you record some good stuff, a director's cut of something or a studio's cut can ruin some stuff. And so I think DC has yet to learn. The one thing Marvel has done well is they become a machine. They are higher within. It is not up to random people to create their movies. Their comic writers have some sense and some say in what's like they bring their writers in. This is their world they're creating. None of the DC movies have gotten that treatment. It's not a hub of people who only strictly like, this is your job. You're DC and this is what, and they haven't had that treatment at any point. And I think they could be great if they had that.
I feel like in DC it's separated right now. Like comic people are all getting control and input into the CW DC shows, the CW universe. Like that's just full on comic nerd boy. Like the Stargirl show is going into the Justice Society of America, which is like that blows my mind that that's even a thing. And like, whereas the movies are specifically, I've seen a few episodes of Stargirl. And I like the JSA. They're just classic old school weirdo, like with just wacky gimmicks and stuff. I like that, but it's still it feels like it belongs in comics, and I can't believe it's on a TV show. And
right.
We're way off topic because I again have no idea what the hell you're talking about. But I do like. I mean, I do like. I was going to ask, and I think you've answered basically my question somewhere along there. I was going to ask you all like, what about DC doesn't work? But I think TBJ really like honed in on that and kind of just told us what, in her opinion. Then Andy, you kind of added that whole bit.
Yeah, they've not come together and built an entity around it. Marvel has come together. Marvel also big pictured the hell out of the MCU, right? Like we talk about the order,
right?
But
future planning,
you remember S.H.I.E.L.D. is running up and in and out of each of these movies, which means it was thought of, like the big picture was drawn out before they even went into each individual movie. So Marvel
sure seems like it
has had a smart, and maybe that's also why we see Thor before we see Captain America. It's just you're also tying in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s presence. So I think it's been important that they started from here's the big world view. Here's where we want to go. And then they built, and they kind of run it like an old Hollywood system. Like it's in-house. Like this is old studio style. This is how we're doing it. And so, they bring in different directors because we're talking about, there's a little romantic tinge in this Thor. But it still works for the movie.
Did you think there was enough romance in Thor?
Yeah, I don't think we need like love scenes in Thor. It's Thor. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Chris Hemsworth were in a love scene.
The reason I'm asking you is because I know about your affinity for Chris Hemsworth. Like, I mean, like I could, and Joe can probably concur with me. Like, I mean, like I love this. I don't like this movie, but Natalie Portman made it watchable for me.
The romantic subplot felt tacked on.
Right.
I don't think
it really did. I didn't like the love
tacked
part.
On. I think there are some things that
it was pretty quick. It was pretty quick how they fell.
There's some cheese where you're like, okay, guys, it's a bit cheesy.
Let's look at that.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman is like an astrophysicist, obsessive, lives in a trailer that she just shoves open boxes of cereal into compartments above her head and all that. Like she lives in a trailer. She doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
She looks exceptionally good for someone who lives like that, but
she wouldn't be that.
Wow.
She's like a real
herself,
she wouldn't
her obsessive work.
I love movies where the lead actress, it doesn't have to be super beautiful. Like I love it when they're normal looking.
That's true.
I think Natalie Portman is normal looking. I don't think Natalie Portman's overdone.
No, I was saying that, like, for someone who lives in a trailer and that's junky and trashy, she looks well put together.
That trailer was so clean, though. Like, that's my problem even with that. Oh, I got to hide the cereal box. It's like, that's the only thing that's even remotely dirty about that trailer. It was so immaculate inside. It should have had, like, bras hanging around and, like, her washing.
She's also a type A scientist, so she's only going to be so messy. Even in a trailer.
Yeah, there's an organizational thing there, So that's her life is she lives in that trailer. She's obsessive. She's got her Swedish gentleman, older father figure friend, was a friend of her dad's.
He is Swedish.
He is
Swedish. Like sometimes he's got no accent. Sometimes he's got a little bit of
He's Stellan Skarsgård, so I think that's why he heard the Thor stories growing up is because he's Eric Selvig. I'm pretty sure that's a Swedish name.
Wait, Skarsgård's the actor's name?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the character's name is
he's a big famous
Eric Selvig. So I think that's the reason he's cast there is because they probably wanted a Swedish connection, like a Norse, someone who was familiar with Norse mythology to be a disbeliever of
Oh, so the actor's a Swedish guy,
I believe so. Yes.
is what you're saying. Oh, because I couldn't figure that out. Like at the end in the after credit scene, I detected like a accent, and I was like, he sounds like Hydra or something. And I know there's some things with him later, but I was like, did he just add that accent? Because I didn't notice it throughout the movie. But
No, but you got to remember,
I don't
foreign people have better American accents than we have foreign accents. So
yeah, you're right.
he might have not used his normal, like Idris is not American. Idris has an accent, but we forget that Idris has an accent in movies because he rarely uses his natural speaking voice.
He uses his Stringer Bell voice.
I gotta say, I knew him mainly from The Office. Like I was like, oh, it's the guy from The Office. He's a badass, and I remember from The Office because he was just annoyed at Michael all the time, and he sounds completely American. You're right, on The Office, the American accent must be real easy to kind of do, I guess. But
Right.
so let's jump into the movie.
Okay.
So at the beginning, we got the opening scene. We're kind of already started touching on Natalie Portman and the girl from Two Girls, One Cup, and a Pizza Place.
Cat.
Two broke girls. Kat Dennings. Is that her name?
Kat Dennings, yeah.
And the old guy, I just said the old guy in the truck trying to predict the weather disturbance. And then Thor falls down from the ground at the very beginning. And that's the guy who ends up being stuff in later episodes. And who we just talked, Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Eric Skarsgård?
Stellan Skarsgård is the actor's name. The character's name is Eric Selvig.
Oh, Eric Selvig. Sorry, I got that all wrong.
That's right.
So that's the beginning. And then the opening credits. And then I was going to say, Andy, give the Thor background. We already did that. So right away, I was going to ask, are these scientists in the comics? Is this how it happens? Are scientists looking at the sky and he falls down? And you've already answered that.
Yeah.
So his character's not in the comics, right? But Natalie Portman.
Maybe. I imagine Selvig was created for the movie, but I can.
Because if she's a nurse, I'm guessing he's not. He's not anything because he's the professor that mentored her dad or whatever it was. Is the backstory there?
So a little cinematic addition.
Yeah, but you guys totally answered my question with that. And then we jumped to Norway in 965 AD with the Frost Giants. And right away, Art, you kind of already mentioned it earlier that you had vibes of Game of Thrones. Are these Frost Giants? Or are they White Walkers? Or, and we have the Game of Thrones type battle with Odin where he loses his eye. And I really felt like it was exactly like Game of Thrones. But this came first, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the
Well, I
books,
mean, yeah, go ahead.
Not in the book. Oh, the book. Oh, the books.
but the Frost Giants in Marvel
Filming-wise,
Comics,
yes.
the Frost Giants in Marvel Comics are giants. They're the size of buildings and shit. So they had to shrink them. Like they're still tall, but they're manageable.
So they're not created just for this movie either. They're in.
Oh yeah.
No, there are Frost Giants in the comic. Yeah, that's real.
Oh, because Loki is in the comics already. This Frost Giant.
Yeah,
that's all story. That's all story from the comics. Which that was going to be another thing I asked.
I think that's from the Nordic mythology too. Is Loki is the son of Frost Giants or something?
Oh, yeah. Shoot, I hadn't thought of that. So the whole Frost Giant thing is from mythology.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it would make sense that it would be in mythology because even, we talked about he might be Odin's brother, but that brother dynamic and one of your brothers being different, it would make sense that it was in the mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess that makes a lot more sense then. And then so Odin's telling Thor and Loki to never look for war. He sets up their competition by saying only one can be king. He kind of sets up that whole thing and cut to Thor receiving accolades, becoming king, but the Frost Giants appear
almost becoming.
Yeah, so they do that thing when they're kids, and Thor talks about wanting to get revenge and all that stuff, and then he kind of tells them that's kind of foreshadowing because later that happens, and then he becomes king, but the Frost Giants appear before he can really.
Well, he never became king. He didn't become king. Oh, okay. Usually they become king.
He was about to. He was about to be crowned, but then the Frost Giants interrupt it. And good thing because Dad gets pissed and is like, you're not mature enough or whatever. Can't get revenge, and they argue and all that. And then we see because I've already seen this before, and I know Loki is what Loki is, and he's stirring the pot. There's all these like guilty looking faces that he's making. It's pretty obvious he's the bad guy already. Like he's already stirring the pot is part of the problem.
But he does a good job
But anyway,
of downplaying it at first, I think.
Yeah, I think he does, because I don't think I realized the first time I watched it, but now that I watched it a few times and now I'm studying it, I pick up on that. Like, oh, that's good. That's a good little subtle look,
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I'm worried. It does a good job of like saying he's worried about Thor and I'm concerned about whatever, when he's really the traitor.
Is he a traitor, or is he just trying to spin a story to a way that makes him look good? I would be hesitant to call him a traitor.
Yeah, Loki's not a traitor. He's an opportunist. Like everything he's doing is for the most part the benefit of him. Like I watched something today where they tried to look at it as calling Loki an actual secret hero of this whole thing, because I mean, it just like how there are things where they say that Tony knew about things that was beginning to happen already. Dr. Selvig, he knows things that he don't necessarily buy into, but that's been happening. So it's almost like where he doesn't believe Thor at first, but he knows things that he doesn't like he alludes to. But then they're saying like Loki Ben knew about Thanos, just like and I guess even this is not an Easter chicken, but just like this is more of a spoiler, but just like how Tony in Infinity Wars, he kind of knew that what happens in Avengers, like it's one of those things where like supposedly these characters already know things because they're quote unquote aware of things because they're some of the smartest people in the world. It kind of plays off like that. So like I don't want to say look at Loki as a bad guy. Loki is just trying to make us find his place in a world that quote unquote he knows at some point is going to change. So he's trying to control the narrative. Like even
and typical brother stuff.
Yeah, even when he gives him Thor that kind of sort of reprieve toward the end of the movie, you're kind of like, okay, he's going to spare him. He's not going to do anything because he's feeling for his brother.
Even at the very end when he's mind controls Selvig or whatever.
He was like the abandoned kid, So it's like he has like that I'm looking out for myself kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And well,
to me,
I mean,
this is Loki and Thor in this movie are doing the same thing with the same idea, just attacking it, the problem of the frost giants in different ways, how each one will do it. Thor is, let's go there and punch them with our hammers until they cry and then they stop messing with us. And Loki is, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is the shell game I'm going to run. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure Thor doesn't become king because that idea is stupid. So I'm going to do all this to get Thor out of the way. And then I'm going to invite the frost giants in and then pretend I'm working with them, but then I'm not, because he's all about the skullduggery. And then I think when he learns his true parentage in the middle of it, that kind of throws him off his game. But he still goes through it.
He discovers it. But so that's what I was kind of thinking. That's the turn he takes when he realizes he's a frost giant because he's not.
But he does also have a very healthy self-interest streak and a very a lot of boiling anger about Thor being the favored son.
Yeah.
And,
so I would say
Our
star will tell you I will call out a bad guy in 2 seconds. But I think Loki very much is what Andy just said. He's feelings of abandonment. If you are not your parents' favorite child, you felt that. He's got all that happening when his and brotherly stuff. I mean, you talked a few minutes ago about how you just pranked your brother all the time. Some of it's brotherly, and they've been pitted against each other. Like, even if you take out the frost giant, remember in the beginning, he's saying only one of you can have this, but both of you
one
are
of you
worthy.
will be king.
So he's pitted them against each other for a very long time. And so, I wouldn't call him a bad guy. But go on, Joe. Tell us.
Well, in this movie.
No, that's good. I like that.
When he gets tossed off the bridge and then in subsequent movies,
Yes.
He's like, you know what?
He
I'm gonna
becomes a-
embrace
well,
villainy,
Yes.
and that's
Right
the
now.
Avengers movie.
He is just a brother scarred.
Right.
Well, I like the. I feel like this. This adds more levels to the character. I mean, that adds more intrigue, and with him, looking at it that way, actually adds more depth to the character than just saying he's a bad guy. So I like that. I'll go with it. Yeah, that's cool. I think we're out of time. Let's leave it there.
Nerds roll.
Excelsior! Oh, my glasses are broken.
My pocket is protected.
Okay.
They say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems.
The Nerd School Podcast.
Nerd School is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improved.